legends, I hope you're all amazing. Today is a particularly glorious day here because I have a TC Electronic 1210 spatial expander and stereo chorus flanger. A massive thank you to Verley at Past Effects for loaning me their 1210 to make some noise with. Essentially, the 1210 is two separate modulation engines in one rack mount unit that you can combine and morph in various different ways. It has a pretty straightforward layout where essentially you've got two sides, which can be set to do the same thing. They can be set to do totally different things if you want, and various routing options. So you can have mono or stereo inputs, and then either stereo outputs or individual outputs on here. You can actually go mono into each side and come out stereo if you've got a stereo breakout cable. Furthermore, there is a pair of buttons here for the link mode. So you've got a cross mode on here and a sweep sync. The sweep sync is going to synchronize the LFOs, and then the cross on or off is going to change the way the two engines interact with one another. So I'm going into this in mono, coming out in stereo. That is why I've got the stereo inputs button off, and I'm not using them as separate inputs on here. I think this is the way most people would use this in a guitar rig. Let's just hear this first. I'm going to give you a real plastic 80s style clean, and I've got the classic chorus setting on here. We are on chorus mode number 2. I've got the speed at 0.5, the width straight down the middle, the delays at 4, and the intensity control is cranked all the way up. There is a bypass button for each engine over here, but I'm just going to be using the left side at the moment. Let's hear it. What a truly glorious sound. That's just such a sweetly voiced 80s style chorus. And you could see there, once I had this first voice engaged, I could add the second voice to it and kind of blend them together. Then using the sweep sync or the cross off, I can get variations on that sound. So let's stay with that tone. I'm going to give you some dirt right now. We'll start with this bypassed. Same settings. I might just play with the intensity control a little bit. Then I'm going to bring in the second engine. That's so good with some dirt on there as well. I love that you can get a super slow rate on there, and the delay control is pretty powerful when it comes to shaping the overall character of the chorus or kind of doubling effect that you've got on there. One of the most important controls on here, I won't say the most important control because there's a lot of important controls on here, is the mode selector for each engine. So mode 2 is the classic chorus mode. Mode 3 is a flanger, and the intensity control for mode 3 is going to control the amount of positive feedback. Mode 4 is also a flanger, but it has negative feedback instead of positive feedback. And mode 1 is your kind of spatial expander mode. So let's go over to mode 1, and I'm going to crank the width all the way up. We'll play around with the delay amount on here and the intensity. I'll give you a non-plastic clean sound, something a little slightly fatter sounding, and we'll hear it with some dirt as well. Let's start with it out of the circuit. As you can see, it's pretty easy to get lost tweaking this thing because of the way these two different engines interact. Most of the classic recommended settings only use one side on here, so you'd just be using, say, the left side as a chorus or a flanger, and you could hear on there mode 3 and mode 4 that intensity control is going to control not just how much of a swoosh we get out of the flanger, but mode 3 being positive feedback has a different flavor and character to mode 4 that has negative feedback. You also heard in there on the first two modes, if you set the speed really low and the width all the way up, you can use that delay control in there along with the intensity to essentially get different flavors of a classic doubling effect in there. So I really like it on dirt. A lot of the time when you have chorus that sounds good on a clean sound, it doesn't sound good on a dirty sound. It will be like too seasick and wobbly. I like those subtle chorus sounds in there. I haven't done a lot of Leslie style stuff, so maybe let's do that and we'll just stick to one voice. So this one is bypassed over here. I wish they made it more obvious that you bypass, but I'll turn the second voice off. And what I'm going to do here is crank up the speed. We'll get the width in the right spot. I'm on mode number 2, which is my favorite mode. I think most people, mode number 2 is my favorite. Then what we'll do is we'll contrast that with like a really slow speed on the second engine, and I'll blend them together. I can play around with cross and sweep over here. So this is a cool trick, having basically one LFO running fast and one running slow and then blending them together on here. So let's start off with the fast LFO. Like that for clean stuff. Again, having the contrast between a slow wide chorus and a fast narrow chorus in there and being able to blend them is super cool. The sweep sync is a great idea on there, you know, being able to sync up the LFOs of the two engines. But I think the magic in this is having them unsynced. It just sounds so much fatter and richer and, dare I say, organic in there. And if I was going to say there's like a secret sauce with the 1210, I would say it's in there. The fact that you've got these unsynced LFOs with some kind of phase relationship between them, it is really, really enjoyable on there. And it's probably one of the reasons people haven't really cloned this yet. TC do make a plugin, and I hope they do what they did with their 2290 plugin, where they basically ported it into a pedal. A 1210 pedal would be great because this sounds amazing, but seeing an analog replication of this would be a true feat. That would be amazing. It would cost a lot of money as well because there's a lot of chips in this, and it's not as simple as just cramming two chorus pedals into a rack on there. So for me, that's sort of where the secret sauce is. The other cool thing as well is you can have this kind of wobbly chorus sound, and we could combine it with, say, a really slow flanger. So I'll change the mode over here. I'll tweak the intensity, and let's do a similar thing where we'll hear the wobbly Leslie kind of sound. I'll go to that less plastic clean over here, and then we'll bring in a slow flanger. Again, this is kind of the magic and how you can get really creative with the 1210. I don't think there's too much more to be said with the 1210. Hopefully you enjoyed all the noodling in there, and hopefully this has kind of made it easier to understand how this unit works, or at least how I see it, thinking of it as essentially an amazing sounding chorus and flanger with the ability to augment it with another copy of itself to either reinforce what it's doing or provide a juxtaposition tonally to what it's doing and really get some unique, rich and complex modulation sounds in there. It is not the easiest unit to understand or to use, and there's some things that I personally find really frustrating with it. For example, these two buttons, one's called mode and one's called bypass, and yeah, bypass has 1 or 2 on it, but I find myself wanting to change the mode and ending up bypassing it, or going to bypass it and changing the mode inadvertently. The actual controls on here are really tactile and nice. They look identical to the SCF pedal, and I really should do a comparison between this and the SCF pedal. I'll have to do that while I've got this here, because I have an early 80s SCF stereo chorus flanger, great sounding chorus pedal, one of my favorite Chorai of all time. This goes right to the top of the heap. I don't want to say it's my absolute favorite chorus ever without doing a comparison. I love the Dimension style chorus. I love the L chorus. I guess the only one left for me to try now is either an original Diatronics CS5 or one of the Fulltone Turk units, that 80s rack chorus, as they call it. It'd be so cool if someone did a recreation of this, because I don't think I could say it's worth the insane prices these go for unless you're a diehard collector. Furthermore, a lot of them probably need some tech work done to them. They're old, they're crusty. Yeah, they sound great, but far out, the prices they go for just a chorus or just a flanger is a bit much to ask. Like I said, TC do have a plug-in version of this. It would be awesome if they came out with a pedal version like the 2290 pedal, and I don't know, maybe at some point we'll see a Past Effects all analog recreation of this, in which case that's a kind of take my money right now sort of purchase. But what I will leave you all with is my thanks. Thanks so much to Verley. Thanks to all of you for watching this video. If you haven't seen the Michael Nielsen videos on the 1210, highly recommend those as well. Shout out to all the rack enthusiasts of the world, keeping the love of this stuff alive. I really enjoyed this particular video. If you want to support what I do, there's links to my Patreon and the music I make with my band Ragdoll. I will play you all out with some of the recommended settings from the manual, and keep your eyes peeled for a comparison between this and the SCF pedal, and probably the L Chorus and the Clark Technic Dimension clone. Otherwise, have a great day, keep it greasy. I'll see you all next time.
Thank you.